Hey guys, I wanted to show you a kind of a interesting thing that I figured out today. I was working on a different project and I got distracted and decided to work on this other thing that I had an idea for randomly, and it actually turned out pretty cool. It had a neat, unexpected side effect that I was going to show here. I find something to write with. I got a pen. But it was pretty neat. So I found a put this where we can see stuff. So I found this. Well, I was working on a different deal here, but I guess I should start by what actually I invented. I probably am not the first person to invent one of these, but it's a tally system. And instead of your traditional tally system where it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then that's a group of 5, and then you do it again, and everything you count by 5s. Well, I was working on one where you count by 10s. And this was the first draft that I had, where it started off, this is upside down, but it started off 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6 I would put a line across. And then this was 7, put another line. This was 8, so you can kind of see how it goes. And then 10, everything was, there was 5 lines both directions. That was 10. So that was, that one also works well, I guess. But I was trying to come up with something a little bit different, and I ended up with this. First of all, I wanted a decimal tally system, is what I've been calling this, so that you can tally things up and count to 10 instead of counting to 5. It's just what I preferred for what I was wanting to do. So anyways, how this works is this is the center of your tally, center of your image, or whatever you want to call it, and then that's 1, 2, 3, and so on. This is 4, 5. Each one has the same number of lines coming from the center until you get up to 8. 8 has 8 lines coming away from the center. And then for 9, you've got 8 here, and then I just added a dash down here for 9. And then for 10, you add a dash here and here. So it's 8 all the way around, and then 9, 10. So that's how that works. And the benefit of it is you can visualize your quantities. So for someone like me, well, first let me get into this. This would be 11. You've got 10 plus 1. This one would be 12. You've got 10 plus 1, 2, and so on in that fashion until you get up to 20, which is 10 plus 10. And they don't have to be connected, I don't suppose, but I just wanted to, you can use spaces to signify a difference in numbers this way. So this one's 19, and then this one's 20. Rather than have them all be in a row perfectly next to each other, this just signifies that these are two that are connected, so 20 here. Anyways, the thing that I found that was handy with it is I wanted to test it to do a math equation, and it's really, as far as writing goes, it's not very handy it's not very space efficient because it takes up a lot of space to tally, as opposed to the Arabic numeral system that we use. It takes up less space, but it's harder to tally with because you have to do, you're constantly scratching out one number and putting the next number when you add in a quantity. So for that reason, I think that this system works better as a tally, and it's also a little bit easier to understand because it's a decimal system instead of this counting to 5 stuff that I really don't like. So what I did here is I just tested out an equation. I decided to take 256 minus 267, and first the first twos cancel out, so you've got 56 minus 67. And so how I wrote that here, I scratched these out, but they started out as so this would be 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, and then I drew on this, but before this little circle thing was on here, this was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then down here we had 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, and this one was the same thing, but 7. And so what I was doing here was I was crossing out everything that matched up, so these all canceled each other out, and then what I was left, the remainder that I was left with was 10 here, so I put that down here, and then the difference between these two, which was why I put this circle here, I was crossing out the sticks that matched on both of them, and I was left with one remainder. So I moved that down here and put it as a 1. So what we were left with was 11. And if you pull out your calculator and check that, you'll find that it's 11. But anyways, not really a super difficult math equation, but for someone like me who really dislikes this type of numbers, something about it just turns my brain off. And I think part of it is I don't automatically visualize the quantities, and I like to be able to visualize the quantities very literally. And the benefit with this is you can look and you see your quantity instead of seeing a representation of a quantity. So for instance, like with our Roman numeral system or Arabic numeral system, we've got like the letter or the number 8, and that signifies this many quantities: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But nothing about this inherently says 8. You've got a circle on top of another circle. It's just a symbol used to talk about a quantity. And for people who don't take to this concept really easily, for me, I have to visualize the quantities in order to understand what I'm adding or subtracting or whatever. I've got to picture it in my head, and the benefit with this decimal tally system is that I can do that. I can literally visualize the exact quantities, and while it does take up a little bit more space, it makes it simpler for me to comprehend what I'm doing, so I kind of enjoy that. Not that this has a really important purpose anywhere other than my brain, but I just thought it was kind of fun and thought I'd share it with you guys. So yeah, but I like it. It's pretty simple, and the alternative is this system, which goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Probably about the same level of efficiency. This would probably be more acceptable to most people, as opposed to this, because this is kind of an alien looking setup, and more people are used to a pretty traditional setup, which is more similar to the old tally system that we use. So anyways, I just thought it was kind of fun, thought I'd show it to you. I actually started off, this project was, I was working on symbols for a different project that I'm working on. I like reminders, and so I was working on trying to come up with a sort of a logo that would be a main reminder of different things. I'm currently trying to work on a project where it's like a self-improvement type deal, and so I have these different qualities that I'm trying to improve in myself, and what I'd like to do is come up with a symbol or an image to remind me of that quality, something simple, so that I don't have to write it out as a entire word. I just thought it would be handier to have some type of symbol that I could show, that I could look at, have written down on a small something or whatever, and just look at it as a reminder to work on that quality in myself. And so that's what I was working on to start off with, and then I got into this stuff and got the idea to work on a decimal system. And so yeah, it was just kind of a happy coincidence, something that's kind of fun for me, and probably not of major value to anybody, but I thought it might be interesting for you guys to see how my brain works. So